With the Dallas Mavericks season right around the corner, it was only right for us to get the host of Locked On Mavericks podcast, Nick Angstadt, back on the show. Nick, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, let's get this Mavericks season rolling. I'm so ready.
I know. What have you been doing since the off season?
Talking about the Mavericks every single day and coming up with questions and hypotheticals and wondering what Klay's going to look like next to Luka. And I just want to see it at this point. This is what I want.
That's valid. No, I completely understand. And you didn't even get to see it in the preseason, but we're about to jump into all of that. Now, just as an overview, just in case you guys forgot, they went 4-1 against the Boston Celtics in the NBA Finals. That was pretty hurtful, but they got a lot of positives from this season. Kyrie looked fantastic. Luka Doncic, he had multiple season highs, so he looked great as well. And they also won the Western Conference. They took down that title. So lots of positives coming from last season. And do you think that there is a high expectation from the Dallas Mavericks coming into this season? And do you think that that expectation is fair?
Oh, absolutely. First of all, yes, of course there's a high expectation. They just made the NBA Finals, and I think the team overall got better. You add 4 players, Klay Thompson, Najee Marshall, Quentin Grimes, Spencer Dinwiddie, that should all help in their different ways. And the team themselves at Media Day and other places have said, we want to go back to the NBA Finals. Every team says that, but this is a team that can do that because they were just there. And so their expectations are sky high, and they absolutely deserve to be there. Now, they kind of said the same thing in 2022 when the Mavs made the Western Conference Finals. They came back, they lost Jalen Brunson, but the Media Day after that season, they said, you know, we are the team that is hunted now. And that season was an absolute disaster. They were not ready for that. This season, completely different. I think they're ready for it.
You know, and I think that says a lot because they have gone through that before where it's like, this is our year, and then it wasn't. And then now that they're coming into this year, they're like, okay, maybe we shouldn't say that this year, and we should just do us. And we should just go about it and just do what we know how to do best, and that's play ball. I mean, but they did go 1-3 in preseason. We got to talk about that. But at the same time, Klay looked good. Kyrie Irving looked good. Their chemistry looked great. Let's talk about that.
We don't need to talk about the record in preseason. It doesn't matter. Luka didn't play in a single game. The first game, you know, Kyrie and Klay didn't play. Kyrie didn't play in another game. I mean, the Mavs take preseason less seriously than maybe any other team in the NBA. There are multiple teams the Mavs played where they're playing their starters into the fourth quarter, and the Mavs don't even play some of their starters in the preseason, apparently, with Luka sitting out with that calf contusion. It's just a calf, you know, bruise. They're not really concerned about it. He practiced the last couple of days. He's looking really good. And so we're not worried about that. So the preseason, to me, there are only a few takeaways. You mentioned Klay Thompson. He struggled. One game he went 0 for 9 shooting and he was taking a bunch of rush shots and things like that. And then the last game, he actually hit a bunch of threes. And you can see how he's starting to fit into this offense. But I really want to see how he looks next to Luka and Kyrie specifically. We just haven't seen that yet. The other thing that really stood out to me in preseason was Quentin Grimes. He was kind of a throw-in player in that Tim Hardaway Jr. trade. A lot of people thought that was just a salary dump to get off of Tim Hardaway Jr.'s money. And they bring back Quentin Grimes. I've been really high on Quentin Grimes. I was excited to see how he would look. And Jason Kidd seems to really like Quentin Grimes. He started him in the last preseason game, and he's gotten a lot of minutes this preseason, been one of the first guard wings off the bench. And so that's a player to watch for the Mavs too.
I think what I appreciate about this team this year is that they've been getting active in this offseason. Even, like you said, Quentin Grimes is back, and also Jaden Hardy is back as well. He just got that 3-year extension, and he's just a rookie. So what does this say about this team? What does it say about Jason Kidd? I mean, like I said, high expectations, and I can see why.
Yeah, the Mavericks are always going to be active. Every turn that you can do something, you know, an offseason, a trade deadline, a free agency, a draft. Nico Harrison, the Mavs GM and president of basketball operations, has proven that he's willing to do stuff, and he's willing to try stuff and risk stuff and do things. So Quentin Grimes was the player I just mentioned. He got brought over in a trade, hasn't played with the Mavericks except for just in preseason, and his extension they could have done a rookie extension with him. They decided not to do it. Both sides decided it's better for each of them to wait until the end of the regular season. He's going to be a restricted free agent, so the Mavericks have the ability to match and keep him. So this won't be a Jalen Brunson, Derrick Jones Jr. type situation. The Mavs will be able to match any offer that's out there, and Grimes will just have to stay. On the Jaden Hardy front, he's been around a couple of years, and now the Mavs signed him to this 3-year deal. It's not a very big deal. It's 3 years, $18 million, which is a lot to me and you, and everybody listening, but not a lot to an NBA player right now when there's like $150 million deals getting thrown around recently in the NBA. But with him, it's really interesting that he got a 3-year deal with a team option at the end. The team option means the team is allowed to decide if they want to keep you for that season or not. And that's usually a sign that a player didn't have a lot of leverage in the negotiations. And so I don't think Jaden Hardy had a very high view across the NBA. I don't know that his value is super high right now, but this contract now is low, that if he does take a big step forward, which I hope he really does this season, he did show some good stuff in preseason, then he could be a player that you can throw into a trade to really sweeten a deal to say, hey, we're going to combine him with Maxi Kleber's salary or somebody else. And then all of a sudden you can get to a good player that way.
And their season starts this Thursday against the San Antonio Spurs. Luka has been cleared to play. So let's just talk about maybe like a revamp, a reiteration of what you would have wanted to see last year during the Boston Celtics era in the NBA Finals that you will be hoping to see in this opening game.
I would like to see Luka be able to warm up for a game without being wrapped up like a mummy before the game. He had so many different injuries and so many different ailments he was dealing with that he just looked like a shell of himself by the end of that NBA Finals run. And don't ask a Celtics fan because they'll say he was trash, he was terrible, and all that. But that was not the Luka that we're used to seeing. He has played a lot better than that. He's played the Celtics a lot better than that in the past. Celtics defense did a good job, but I would like to see a healthy Luka going into the season, and I think the Mavericks absolutely do too. That's why they were so cautious with him in the preseason. He gets this calf contusion. They keep him out of every single game. He could have played. He could have played for sure. He would have played if it was a playoff game, but instead they hold him out. They want to make sure he's really healthy, and I think that they're going to be really careful with his minute load, his games played, that kind of stuff. They want him to be able to play the amount of games it'll take to win awards. It's a 65-game threshold, but you also want to make sure that he's healthy going into that playoff run because he was not this past year. They still made the NBA Finals, but let's see what we can do with a healthy Luka Doncic next season.
Absolutely, and we also have to bring recognition to the fact that they're able to do that this year. Now there's a lot more people who could hold the fort down while Luka is gone. Nobody's going to be suffering while Luka is gone. So let's just talk about just the Mavericks' depth now.
Yeah, the Mavs added a bunch of pieces that, like I mentioned, and one of the reasons why they struggled so much and they struggle without Luka, first of all, he's one of the best players in the NBA, but also they just didn't have ball handlers. In the finals, you saw it was Luka and Kyrie, the only guys that were willing to even dribble during the NBA Finals. And so if one of those guys was sitting, it's just one guy versus the world, basically, at that point. So you add a Spencer Dinwiddie. Jaden Hardy gets a little bit better. You add a Klay Thompson who's willing to do a couple more things off the dribble. PJ Washington gets a little bit more comfortable in the Mavs system. You add a Quentin Grimes. It's more of a guard than what Derrick Jones Jr. was in that spot. You add a Najee Marshall, who is also a wing that can handle the ball a little bit and will run in transition and do things like that. And so you add a couple of these players, and all of a sudden now the Mavs have some more ball handlers that can handle some offensive load when Luka sits. Plus, also, one of the stories from preseason was Jay-Z and Gortman. Jazz Gortman, the Mavs brought him in on a training camp deal, and they didn't really have a spot for him. All their spots were pretty much full. All their two-way spots, all their roster spots were pretty much full. And he comes in and wows during preseason, and he gets added to the roster on a two-way deal, and AJ Lawson gets removed. And so that's another guy that can handle the ball a little bit, can come in, spot minutes here and there, and do that kind of stuff. And so they have some ball handlers now that I think is a different look than what they had last year.
Well, there's going to be a lot of excitement around the Mavs this year. I mean, I'm excited for it. But one of the main things that they focused on last year was Luka getting an MVP. Obviously, that did not happen. Do you think that it could happen this year?
It should. It should happen this year. He's the betting favorite again, according to FanDuel and some others, that he's the betting favorite going into the season. And so I think that that's something that we're looking at. And the only thing I think that's standing between him and an MVP is the amount of wins the Mavericks can get this season. Last year, they won 50 games. They had to go on a run at the end of the season. If that was at 55, they had won 5 more games last season. He may have been the MVP last year. It really is that close at times. So the Mavs have to win games in the regular season. The team has to be good enough. And if his stats are the same that they've been the last 6 years of his career, then he's probably going to win MVP this season, because it does seem like nationally it is his turn.
Well, the first regular season game will be starting this Thursday at 6:30 against the San Antonio Spurs. Really excited to see it. Nick, I mean, what do you think the score is going to be? I always love putting you on the spot.
What the score is going to be? Oh, man. This is so random in an NBA game. Like, they can score anywhere from 80 to 140 points. I'm going to go 115 Mavs to 105 Spurs. I'm going to go Mavs win by 10.
Okay, I wrote it down, and I will hold you to that. All right, Nick, thank you so much.
Anytime.